Hello and welcome to ReginaldESQ. I'm Underhook and this is my review of the American T7 T20. It's a medium tank as you can see. So is this tank any good? Well, I don't think it handles like a medium tank should. Some people say that it's really good, but I just can't drive it like they could. So yeah, a lot of people say this is a good tank. I didn't have much luck with it and I really don't like it. But I can see how some people would. Anyway, let's get into the review. Change of camouflage. It seems my tank decided to slip into something a little more comfortable. So 1100 hit points is low, on the lowish side of average for a tier 7 medium tank. The lowest is the Chinese T-34-1 with 1050 hit points, so 1100 hit points, a little bit low. Weight wise, this thing weighs in at about 31 tonne, which makes it the lightest of all the T7 mediums, so I suggest you don't ram anyone unless you absolutely have to. It's not a good ramming tank. The top speed, listed speed, is 56 kilometers an hour in forward and 20 in reverse, and it does reach that speed, although it's very sluggish in my opinion. It takes a while to accelerate. A lot of other medium tanks will accelerate more quickly than this tank off the line, although once it gets going it builds up speed. It has the fastest tank in this tier is the A44 with 59, and the slowest is the Shire with 42 kilometers per hour. Now, the track traverse on this tank is 37 degrees a second, which is about average. The best is the A44 with 44 degrees, and the worst is the Panther with 32 degrees. However, I did find this tank turned pretty badly at speed. It does do a very wide turning arc, and it does seem to wipe off a fair bit of speed whilst turning. Now, I found it pretty much can't outmaneuver any of the other medium tanks except for perhaps the Panther. So it's not a very good close range engagement tank, as well as that it has terrible armor. So it's not very good up close and doesn't maneuver, I found, very well. However, at low speed, it will turn on the spot pretty quick, and you can sort of drive around objects fairly well, but it's not, in my opinion, a really good maneuverable medium tank. The turret traverse of 44 degrees a second is about average. The best in class is the KV-13 with 50 degrees a second, and the worst is the German VK-3002D with just 25, which is appalling. Now, so yeah, it's alright. The turret traverse I didn't find to be a problem. Really good thing about this tank is it has fantastic view range of 390 meters, which is the best in class. The next best is 380, and the worst is the KV-13 with just 360. So yeah, and combine that with its excellent camouflage on this tank, and you can kind of use it almost as a scout tank, and or you can use it as a TD, firing from cover from bushes and stuff like that. To give you an idea, the Comet, which is not a big tank, there's the Comet. So it's smaller than a Comet, and even especially if you look at the height of the top of this turret, and height is normally the determining factor for camouflage, you can see that the T20 is quite a bit lower, and the Panther of course is just humongous compared to it. So yeah, it's a smallish tank. So you can hide and has an excellent view range. The only tank with better camouflage than this is the T-34-1, the Chinese. All the rest of the tanks have a lower camouflage rate than this one. The signal range of 615 meters is average and is adequate for this tank. Gun depression wise, this tank has fantastic gun depression of 10 degrees, and that's that's excellent and does enable it to hill fight quite effectively. However, the Comet is superior with 12 degrees of gun depression, and the worst in class is the A-44 with only 3 degrees of gun depression. Now, the only thing you have to watch out for this tank with hill fighting is, yes, you can get your gun to point at your opponents. However, the turret armor is pathetic. Excuse me, pathetic. And the only thing you will bounce is maybe some sort of tier 5 scout tanks, maybe. And other than that, you'll only get bounces from ricochets. The armor is pretty bad on this tank. So let's have a look at the grind for the tank. Now, the tracks actually do not improve your track traverse at all, but I'm pretty sure you need them to get the turret, so it's one of those things, you got to get them. If you want to get to the Pershing as quickly as possible, you probably don't need to get the radio in this tank. You do have good view range and camo, so it's one of those things. It's up to you if you want to get it or not. The gun, well, let's have a look at the M3 gun, which is clearly the best gun this tank has. Well, people who like this tank have told me they love the gun and think the gun is the best part about the tank. I don't like the tank, and I found the gun to be the worst thing about the tank, in my opinion. So it's one of those things. Basically, if you've ever driven the Hellcat has the M3, but it has the AT version of this gun. And on the Hellcat, it has a better rate of fire, it has a better accuracy, and a faster aiming time. Otherwise, the pen and damage is the same. So the Tier 6 Hellcat is much far superior. In fact, it's superior in almost every way to this tank. For example, the Hellcat has similar speed, similar turn rate. The gun performs much better, and it also has some mantlet armor, which this tank doesn't have. And the Hellcat also has the great gun depression. So, yeah, I'm not sure why people rave about this gun. I think they rave about it because it has good pen. 160 is good pen, and 240 alpha damage is the third highest alpha damage for a Tier 7 medium. However, the rate of fire of 6.38 is the slowest of any Tier 7 medium tank. So this tank actually has the lowest damage per minute of any Tier 7 medium. Now, I normally don't care about damage per minute on tanks because I figure, well, if you're behind cover, you just fire when you reload and it doesn't really matter. But being a medium tank, you know, sometimes you need to be out in the open trying to outflank people and trying to circle tanks and things. And with that rate of fire, it's almost suicide to do so. I found that Tier 5 tanks could out DPM me. Tier 5 mediums, I would run into a Tier 5 medium, try and circle them and not have much luck, and we'd just be exchanging fire, and they would kill me often before I could reload after my first shot. So it is a very slow reload for a medium tank. The accuracy of 0.38 is pretty bad. Now, I'm not sure if it's because of the 9.6 patch where they've nerfed the accuracy a little bit, but I found sniping with this tank, quite a few shots would just go wild and miss by, you'd miss the tank by 3 or 4 tank lengths. And I think that maybe it's because of that, or maybe it's just 0.38, but it felt like, it feels like it is 0.38 accuracy, but that it throws wild ones every now and then. And so it's a very unpredictable gun. And 2.3 second aiming time is actually okay for a medium tank gun. So yeah, I didn't like it, but other people do, so maybe you will too. It could just be me. Now, I have small repair kit, large first aid kit fitted to this tank. Also have vents, gun rammer, and gun laying drive fitted to do everything I can to speed up the performance of the gun, to increase the loading time and aiming time of the gun, or decrease, sorry, same with the vents. The crew is 100% trained. The command has 6th sense, which is, I think, essential in this tank because it doesn't have any armor to speak of. And he's also 83% trained on recon, which increases view range. So the gunner here has snapshot and is working on camouflage. The driver has smooth ride and is working on off-road driving. Great skills for medium tanks. The what's this guy? Radio operator, situational awareness, which is another thing that increases view range, and he's working on camouflage. And this guy has camouflage and is working on firefighting. So that's to let you know how the tank performs in battle when you see it. What else can I tell you about this tank? Look, the armor is one of the major problems, and like I said, don't rely on out damaging anyone on a face-to-face battle because you just get slaughtered. Really, I found you need to hide and shoot from the trees and bushes, basically, of which there are less and less in the game these days. Let's have a look at the tank in Tank Inspector and then get into some gameplay. The T20 in Tank Inspector, I'll go straight to the colorized view and check out this mighty armor. So on the lower and upper plate of the front of the tank we have 64mm of armor. That's not going to stop very much. Well, it's not going to stop anything actually, unless you happen to get a ricochet angle, like you're popping out from behind a rock and you're sort of presenting that. If they don't shoot the front wheel and they hit here, then you might get a ricochet. The side of the tank, though, is exceptionally weak, also at 51mm, so it's not a well-armoured tank. You can try angling it, of course, so something like maybe that, but no more than that, or the side becomes very easy to penetrate. The top of the tank, it doesn't really have a mantlet, or it does, but it's tiny, so the front of the turret is 89mm, and you can see there we're getting come out the equivalent of around 100. In some areas it gets up to even 140, but I really didn't find it bouncing anything except the occasional sort of tier 5 scout that might bounce off it. The mantlet, as you can see, is tiny and is 89, overlaying 89, so you might get a bounce off there occasionally as well. The Coppola is not very big, which is good, but it's 64 mils, which is pretty bad. But really, people don't need to shoot the Coppola on this. You just get shot up here a lot, I've found in this tank. The side of the turret is 64mm with a little weak spot there at 51, but you don't need to shoot the weak spot. The rear of the tank is 38mm, which is okay. I mean, you don't expect anything on a medium tank. The top is 19mm, and the top of the turret is a hefty 25, which is surprisingly good for something that's so poor everywhere else. That's about all there is to say. But you can't rely on the armor at all on this tank. At tier 7, it's butter really. Alright, so we're in our tier 7 American medium tank, the T20, and this is a tier 9 game. It's not a great game in this tank, but being against tier 9s, it's at least worth it to have a look and see how it goes against tier 9s and a lot of tier 8s. So there's only 5 tanks on their team that aren't tier 8 or higher, so it's a good test for this tank. So I'm taking up this position here to give myself a bit of flexibility about where to move, and also making sure I've got some hard cover. Getting caught out in the open, especially in a tier 9 game, isn't a good idea in this tank. So let's try and see if I can catch anyone early, trying to sneak through there. But it doesn't look like I'm going to. What I'm going to do, you can actually see how far behind my reticule is, or the server reticule is behind my actual reticule. It's yeah, pretty bad. It's very laggy. So that might be another reason why I don't like this tank too much as well, is because I get fairly bad lag. So, alright, and there's also a bug in the replay where part of that is a bug where it's just not pointing where my gun's aiming, so I apologise for that. I'm going to speed this up a little bit to 2 times, maybe actually 4 times. I know it's going to look a bit confusing, but I don't do much because I'm being very cautious in the early part of this game. Okay, I'm moving back now. I think I actually have a shot, so I'll slow it down to normal speed. There's a Tiger 2 in town, so I'm aiming for his track. We hit him, and I think we did actually track him, but I've been spotted, so I get the hell out of there. I definitely cannot trade shots with a Tiger 2. I'm trying not to run into or get in the way of my IS-6 behind me on my team, but I also want to make sure I've got enough room to pull back if I'm getting shot at. So I'm moving down. There's some more tanks spotted down in town, so I'm moving back to see if I can shoot again. Might have a better chance. I'm going to go for his turret here. It's a bit more of a better angle, and we actually get that shot in. That shot went true. Once again, I'm being spotted, so I'm getting the hell out of there. I'm just going to speed this up to 2 times. Now I'm going back to normal speed. So what I can see is a Type 62 just on my left. I can see my team has pushed up on this side really well, but I saw the Type 62 there. Now I'm up here, I can see there's also a Centurion 7-1 and a Bulldog. So I'm going to see if I can sneak a shot in. And we do sneak a shot into the Centurion. Unfortunately, Type 62 saw us coming and he put one into us. And now he puts another one into us. So you can see here the total lack of armor. Look at those shots there. Basically where the mantlet would be if it had a mantlet. So in a, like for example, he missed me luckily, Centurion. If this was say a Comet, you would have a mantlet and you might actually bounce those shots. But in this tank you just don't have a hope of bouncing those shots. So it's a bit of a tough tank to play in this sort of a trading shot scenario. You really don't want to be trading shots. Take a shot at the Bulldog as it goes past, but it misses. just can't quite get enough gun depression to reach that bulldog. And there's the Centurion. He's waiting for me. Puts a shot into me for 408, which really hurt. He's a tier 9 medium tank. But we also get one into the roof of his tank, which was good because he's got a very bouncy mantlet, but the roof of his tank is vulnerable, and from this angle we can pretty much get it. So that was lucky that we got a shot in as well. So we put 2 shots into him. He's put 1 shot into us, but being a tier 9, his single shot was worth the 2 of ours. So I noticed the tank in the town has just been killed, so I'm a bit more adventurous as far as going over the edge here goes, and we get a shot into that bulldog. There is actually another tank near town, a T44, which I didn't see, so I was lucky to get shot by that. Just haven't quite got the gun depression to put a shot on this bulldog, so I decided to move forward a little bit. And it was a mistake. He was waiting for me. He puts one into me, and I didn't have the gun depression to return the shot, unfortunately. But he's forced to back out. Oh no, that was the Centurion, and we set it on fire. Oh, it looks like he must have had a fire extinguisher because he nearly died but didn't quite, so I'd say he had a fire extinguisher. T-34-3 hiding behind that rock up there. I've got to be a little bit careful. I don't want to get owned by him while I'm popping out to shoot. Hopefully he's going to come out there, and there he is with fire, and somebody else, it looks like the tortoise just there, killed him before we could get a shot on him. The Centurion has now been killed, so it's just this bulldog here. And his days are numbered because everyone's moving in to get a shot on him. Can we get a shot? Yes, we can. One into his Coppola, and he gets finished off by someone else. So all they have left now is 3 tanks. The Tiger, well, actually the Tiger 2 just died, so now they've only got the Waffenträger and an E75 left. Now you can see there all the shots I got hit with there are all in where a mantlet would be if the tank had a mantlet. So, and it's one of the reasons why I don't like this tank. It just, if it had a mantlet, it would be a lot better, or if it had a gun with more rapid fire, it would be a lot better. And if it had both, it would be really good. The other reason why I don't like this tank, which hasn't really shown up in this gameplay, but it has quite a slow shell velocity. So if you are shooting at range because you've got no armor and and it's got good view range and good stealth, if the target is moving, the chance of hitting a moving target, it's really hard to hit a moving target with this gun because the shell travels so slowly. You have to give a lot of lead. Now, it's only the E75 here left, so I'm hoping I can come up. Hopefully he's facing the other way, and he is. Excellent. We go on the backside, we force him forward, and he gets killed. End of the game. Alright, so that was a Class 2 game. Let's have a look at the next screen. We actually finished on top for XP. I think it's basically because we were a tier 7 in a tier 9, tier 8 game. And you can see we actually did less damage than some of these other tanks like the Tortoise and the IS-3, but because we're a lower tier, plus I think we did a bit of spotting damage. So we fired 12 shots, 8 of those were direct hits, and 7 of those 8 penetrated. Although one of them, I think on the Tiger 2, was actually just a tracking shot. Damage of 2,155 and 253, that was at long range. We were hit 4 times, all 4 of them penetrated, and pretty much all of them were where a mantlet would be, if it had a good mantlet. We damaged 4 tanks. And we did 1,458 assistance damage. So combined with the 2,155 damage for a tier 7, that's a pretty good game. 43,000 income is 29,000 profit, which is all right. Standard ammunition is not too expensive. And we earned 1,045 XP, which, as you can see, is a Class 2 in this tank.
Let's go.
Alright, so this time the map is Shire, and this time we're top tier. It's a top tier. It's a tier 7 game, and we're in a tier 7 tank, so yes, we're top tier. And there's a lot of tier 7 tanks in this game. In fact, there's only 5 tanks on the enemy team that are not tier 7, so it's a proper tier 7 match. There are, of course, a few tier 6s. They've got a tier 5 arty and a tier 4 scout, the M5A1, Chinese Stuart. So I'm moving to a position, and if you're ever on this map, this is a really good map for this tank because it's hilly and it has trees, both of which are good for this tank. But if you're ever in a tank that's quite stealthy, or if you're in a good tank destroyer, this is a fantastic spot on this map where I am parked now, right where this bush is, because it allows you to shoot people on the hill on the left if they start poking out the spot, and shoot from behind those rocks. And also allows you to shoot people moving across the field, as you'll see in a moment. And sometimes you can spot tanks from here as well. I haven't really got this T20 set up for spotting because I've got gun rammer and all that sort of stuff on. If I had binoculars, I'd be doing a lot more spotting. So M5A1 Stewart, and we set him on fire, the poor bugger. There he was hiding. We tracked him and set him on fire. He's only got 4 hit points left. And I actually managed to load in time to get another shot off. I don't know how someone else didn't get the kill there, but there's an AMX AC-46 over there, but I can't see him. He must be on that side of the hill. Now there's a T20 on the other team. He's just been spotted. So they're stealthy when they're in bushes, but when they're not in bushes, they do tend to get spotted. No, doesn't look like we're getting a shot on him at the moment. Now our tanks are being hit, so they're getting spotted from somewhere. You'd think they'd... Oh, he's tracked. I was going to say, you'd think he'd move if he'd been hit already, but he's been tracked. Oh, the poor bugger. He got tracked, he moved, and he got tracked again. Let's toast the poor guy. So there's their T20 now. We get a shot into him. Going backwards and forwards there. See if we can get a shot into his... No, he's coming forward again, so we'll put another shot into him. So the reload is long, but if the enemy's going to sit in front of your gun, well, you can do good damage with it. ARL 44, French tier 6. We've tracked him. The side armour on this tank is terrible. Especially the side turret armour is appallingly bad, and we hit it in the side of the turret there. The reason I aimed right at the top track was because this gun isn't very accurate. So I was really just trying to aim at the centre of mass in the hopes that I would hit something. And he's nearly dead. His upper plate is very good, and the front of its turret's not bad, but anyway, he gets away. And with this tank, I don't like blind firing with this tank unless I'm sure they're there, because it takes so long to reload. So if I'd had a quick firing gun, I would have blind fired at the ARL to see if I could get him while I was going down the hill there. I take too long to aim my shot there, and he backs up. SU-152 in the open. I aim at the front corner, and then I decide to pull back a little bit, make sure the shot goes into the side. So we get that shot in, and he goes out of sight. The T20 was there, but I decided this T25AT is a much more dangerous target, much more important to take out. Excellent, excellent tank destroyer. I had reviewed that one. And the SU-152 has been spotted again, so hopefully we can get another shot. He's side on, and it goes in. Beautiful. Now he's caught out in the open badly, this guy. I know that feeling. Another one into him. He's got nowhere to go. He's just too slow moving backwards. So I'm aiming for round about the front corner. When you can't just see the tank, the front corner's not a bad place to aim, because at least if you don't pen, you'll track them. Anyway, we managed to get rid of him, which is great. Now, we are being slaughtered. We've got 6 tanks remaining. The enemy has 9 or 10 remaining. It's 6-9 anyway. There's a tank down over there. Can we get a shot on it? He's behind the rock, unfortunately. I don't want to move from this position because I've been doing so well in it, and I don't want to move and get spotted. Can we get a shot on him? He's moving. And now he's disappeared from view, unfortunately. The enemy is now capping. They're 48% capped, and I'm feeling the pressure to go and move and reset cap. We now only have 4 tanks left, 2 of which are artillery. So we're about to lose. So I decided I've got to have to move in. And then the T20 appears. Enemy T20. I put a shot into him. He actually missed me, but the Black Prince has just shot at me from the left. I'm just going to try and eliminate this T20 so that I can try and reset cap. I'm getting hit from everywhere. Looks like our artillery actually finished off that T20. I'm now coming around. I just want to hit one of them and reset cap, and hopefully my artillery can hit them as well and eliminate them. I stop because my lag doesn't allow me to shoot very effectively while I'm moving. We actually bounced the Black Prince, which is amazing. Must have been a ricochet. He gets another one into us. I get another one with this T41. I'm just trying to kill it. But I've got to keep moving. If I stand still, I'm a dead dog. But as you can see, the tank moves okay, but it's not blisteringly fast.
We're done for. Everyone
And we get taken out. We only have 2 artillery and a Jag Panther remaining, and the enemy has 8 tanks left, something like that. So, yeah, we don't win. So once again, a class 2 in the tank. We managed to get a tank sniper medal and a high caliber medal. Yeah. So we finished on top for XP on our team, but of course, being on the losing team, we didn't finish on top for XP compared to the other team. But we did finish on top for damage in both teams, so that was nice. We fired 17 shots, 15 of those were direct hits. Of the 15 that hit, 14 penetrated, so quite good. But generally speaking, if you're shooting at long range, it throws a few more wild ones. So this was a game where I had good accuracy, which is hence why you're seeing it. 3,152 damage is pretty good for this tank, with over 2,000 of that damage done at long range. We received 10 hits, and we actually managed to bounce 3 shots. I don't know how. I think 2 of them were from the Black Prince. Amazingly, that is a pretty good pen. Oh, well, okay pen. Let's see. We spotted 1. We damaged 6, destroying 2. Did a tiny bit of damage distance, so we weren't spotting anything from where we were, even though we had 390 meters of view range plus some cruise skills of boost view range. Base capture points 36, or defense points 36. And we can see here we got a bit of extra credits for heroic resistance for winning medals, so the income wasn't too bad. So all in all, that added up. It only came to something like 840 XP, which is interesting because that's a class 2, and the other game was about 1,000, which was over 1,000, which was still a class 2. So mastery on the SEA servers at the moment must be about gee whiz, 1,300 XP or something like that. So there's obviously people out there, a lot of people doing really well with this tank. So do bear that in mind with the replays you've seen. I'm not very good with this tank. Thank you for watching my review of the T20. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more reviews, please subscribe to ReginaldESQ. Have fun.